comfort is key for your kit. So just checking the time. I'll have a swig of drink. Otherwise, I'll just keel over. In terms of kit, you can see from the bike behind me probably that I like lightweight things. I like lightweight kit. I like lightweight vests and lightweight shoes and lightweight hairbands and whatever, and aerodynamic hair and all this kind of stuff. I just love it. Like, this watch is lighter than the other watches. Ooh, it's great. It's not comfortable. It's going to cause a detriment in your 24-hour race. It doesn't matter how fast your shoes are if you can't actually run anymore. Carbon shoes, can't not talk about them these days. We have seen some really good performances in them. I know Camille set all of her records within the Nike carbon plated shoes. I've also seen some people hobbling after 6 hours after not really having the conditioning, particularly the hamstrings, the calves, the Achilles, to deal with the forefoot position that kind of forces you into in those shoes. Find out what works for you. Find out what you can sustain for a long time. It's quite hard, actually, for a 24-hour race to know which shoes and which kit's right, because the problems usually arise, hopefully, 16, 18, 20 hours in. And you can't practice that unless you're 16, 18, 20 hours into a 24-hour race. So, difficult. Ask around, try out shoes beforehand. Let's get as much wearing as you can. Check that they're comfortable. The Hokas are very comfortable. I've done them in Adidas trail shoes in the first ones I had. I don't know if anyone's been running ultra as long as me. These are the Adizero XTs. They were wonderful. Bought like 4 pairs when they discontinued them. Very comfy trail shoes. I did some very enjoyable 24-hour race in those. And then I went into the Hoka Hawakas. They also have been discontinued. Very comfortable, 4mm drop, very kind of like right for me. And then more recently, I've done some stuff in some Adidas. I've tried the Nikes. I had an injury that stopped me in that race, so I wouldn't blame the Nikes for that. But yeah, there are different shoes and stuff you can try. Find what works for you, but remember, comfortable is the most important thing. And you've got to be running. If you can be running from 20 to 24 hours, as opposed to crawling, because your hamstrings have like gone, and then that's going to help you build a bigger total. Same with chafing and blisters. Chafing can ruin anyone's race. My worst, I think not my worst ever, but one of my worst 24-hour performances was at Tootingbeck, and I was a bit skinny at the time. I had a pair of skins, like half tights, and I'd split them. I think it was mainly because I'd been eating a lot of. I'd got bigger than when I'd bought the shorts. Right, no one was around to tell me that they weren't quite fitting anymore. They'd split, and we'd sewn them back up with the seam on the inside. It's a bad idea. Don't do that. And they were just quite tight. They compressed to my butt cheeks, and that chafed. And that's not a comfortable way to run. You cannot run it economically, efficiently, or fast if your butt cheeks are chafing, right? Same goes for armpits or nipples. I've seen Steve Hollyoak racing Albie, and his nipple, like all the kids were scared because he looked like he'd just been, like, I don't know, lactating blood from his boobies. It was horrific. This kind of stuff will make your race seem harder and be harder. I'll talk about the perception of it in a sec. I'm up to like 40 minutes. I don't know what time Darren started me off. I'll keep going. Nothing new on race day. It's pretty basic, but the temptation is always there. I still do it. You like race day, I'll be thinking, yeah, but those new shoes do look good. And you're thinking, no, don't do it. And a little voice on your shoulder goes, yeah, what about those new shorts though? But they'll be well comfortable. How about after 16 hours? I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Don't wear anything new on race day. Same goes for food.
You've got as much time as you need, Robbie.
All right. I've got a voice note from someone just sent me a voice note. I think he's listening, and it's like, what am I going to do? I can't play it. Pre-tape and pre-lubricate if you have to. That's what I put some lubrication on my feet before I put the socks on at the start of the race, and I'll even be. My wife, when she ran the Tour de France, she taped the bits she knew was going to tape. She didn't have any blisters over 5 days of racing in the rain and the mountains. Find out what works for you again, I'm afraid. And if you have got a sore spot and something happening, deal with it pretty quick. It's worth spending a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes sitting down and dealing with that problem before it becomes a race ender. At that point, if you're wobbling like this because there's a blister under one foot and you haven't sorted it, you're not going to make as big a total. Fresh clothes equals fresh mind. I think it come up in, like, I don't know, might have been Alistair Campbell's Winners book. And we were talking about Sir Clive Woodward with the England rugby team. They were coming out in the second half and they were rubbish. And they were like, I don't get it. Why are you so rubbish at the start of the second half? And they put them in new kit And they were brilliant at the start of the second half. It does, again, it affects our mindset. I've read somewhere that Yanis Kouros would change his T-shirt every 4 hours. I looked at the pictures of Damo Carr, who ran a fantastic 200, it's either just over or just under 263 kilometres this weekend at Crawley. And he looked like he had more outfit changes than Christian Aguilera at the VMAs. I'm showing my age. I have no idea about popular culture like that. But he changed tops, and it helps you you feel fresh, you feel good. It's going to help with the chafing and stuff because the salt collects in your outfit, but you just feel better in a new T-shirt, and it takes no effort whatsoever to change your outfit running around there. I know that's probably an easier thing to say as a male runner to a female runner, but if it's other ways, you might change your headband, you might change just anything you can change on the way around will make you feel a bit fresh. And some people do change shoes. I don't personally, unless I've got a problem. But find out what works for you. Have a backup, because if you feel like you need to change it on race day and your feet are really hurting and it takes 2 minutes to change it, go for it. If about an hour later you decide you want to go back in the other shoes, go for it. Change it at 2 minutes. It's like, I'm not saying change your shoes every hour. That would lose you lots of time. But just if there are problems, sort them. Because with kit, sort them before they become a bigger problem. This picture here is actually from, it's from the Finnish race. And the ground was very hard. It was an indoor track in Finland. So have a look at what kind of surface you're running. Because you get races that are either on roads, on tracks, a mixture, tarmac, loose tarmac. I know in Albi, Camille Herron wore gaiters on her shoes because she's worried about rocks getting into her shoes, and that causing more of an issue. So little things like that, do a little bit of research and find out the kit that's right for you. Again, little bits around the environment. If it's hot, think about a kit you can get wet and actually they help you cool you down, and little bits like that. There's loads. I could go on all day. One of the things we do with the British team is have the arm warmers or little sleeves, and we get little bags of ice and we pop them in there. And it cools down, melts, and then they come out again later and we give them some more ice if it's hot. Little bits like that can really help you feel cooler, if it's not the best cooling strategy. 24-hour running is a battle with your mind as much as your body. Keep an eye on time. This is also from Finland because I had loads of pictures from it. This is in the morning, and actually this is one of I think she was Danish, this runner. She was having a good race out there and she was still moving well in the morning. So the psychology side of things, practice beforehand. When you're in your long runs, we all have strategies we use to cope when stuff gets tough. We can look at really good books out there. I think Dr. Josie Perry has a really good book. You've got Steve Peters' Chimp Paradox. There's plenty of resources out there, some good YouTube videos you'll probably listen to. But you'll probably find actually that a few of the things you do yourself anyway. You go, oh, I talk to myself all the time. I thought that was strange. No, it's perfectly normal. I break the task down. So my favourite one is breaking a task down to a smaller piece, especially with a 24-hour race. Because if you, at the start of a 24-hour race, think, oh, I've got to run for 24 hours. That's not a nice thought most of the time. Sometimes it is. I love it. I love 24-hour running. But at some point in the first 6 hours, it's going to seem like a long way and my toes are going to hurt. So I'm going to go, break it down to smaller tasks. Focus on the hour. Focus on the first 6 hours or the next 6 hours or 4-hour chunks. There's only 6 of them, but there's only 4 of the 6-hour ones. Do some mental arithmetic on the way around. It will help you pass the time. 1 hour at a time. Especially if you add in like a run-walk strategy as well. If you're going to walk for 5 minutes on the start of every hour, which is what some people have done, or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, you've only got to run for 55 minutes to get to that bit. Easy. You can run for 55 minutes. As the race gets tougher, maybe you change to 28 minutes of running, 2 minutes of walking. Well, I'll just do 28 minutes of running. Easy. Maybe later on it's just 1 lap at a time or 1 mile at a time. Break it into smaller chunks, and that makes it easier to cope with. Use self-talk. You're in a very exceptional bunch of people when you're in a 24-hour race. No one's going to mind you talking to yourself. They're probably all doing it anyway, or they would be doing it at home, or we are an eccentric bunch. If you got to do what you got to do, don't worry about everyone else. You can use self-talk in your head, or you can use it out loud. I like to use it out loud. I find it more effective. There was a study that showed that talking to yourself in the third person is more effective than talking to yourself I can do this compared to you can do this. You can do this is more effective. It's almost like someone else is telling you, and it had a bigger performance benefit to people. So if you're going around, say, Robbie, you can do this. Robbie, keep your head up. Robbie, stop talking as much, carry on with the slideshow. And use this as you go around, but practice it on your runs. Practice, find out what works for you. I like a little mantra. Sometimes I use Ben Howard's, what's his song? I've forgotten it now. Keep your head up, keep your heart strong. Feel like it's got a good, practical bit of advice. Keep your head up, keep your heart strong. And I keep it on a mantra in my head as I'm going around sometimes in races. Or I think I had a race the other week and I had a nursery rhyme stuck in my head, which didn't help. Time just repeating it, and you can develop your own mantras. I know that James Stewart has different songs and he has different notes. He has from different members of the family and friends. A few people do that. They dedicate an hour to a different friend or family member. Lots of these different techniques can help you with the mindset of it. Mindfulness is very popular these days. You've got some apps that can do it. Can be used within your training, but also just within your race, kind of thinking very much about yourself rather than the environment around you. This is probably not the exact definition of mindfulness, but I feel like 24-hour running, we have our own mindfulness, and it's where you think about how everything's feeling. And method can be to kind of start at the feet and just work your way up. Think about, how's my gut, how's my lungs and heart, how's my head, shoulders, knees and toes. There you go. I'll make it. See, look, Darren wanted some dad jokes, I reckon. But just kind of being within yourself, because outside influences can be really big on our perception of effort. And I love this stuff. I'm just giving our time. I'll get a little bit longer. There's some really good stuff from Samuel Macora, he does stuff around perception of effort. And the example I use, you've got two runners at 20 miles of a race. They've trained exactly the same. They're the same person. They've been cloned, and they've run exactly the same pace to mile 20 of a marathon. But person A is being overtaken and person B is overtaking people. The physiological demands, or not demands, but the circumstances are identical. But one of those people is having a much better day. It's feeling so much easier. And it's the person overtaking, because our perception of the effort, how hard we are working and how much energy we've got, all this information comes up to our noggin, and then we decide what to do with that. And there are very simple ways. By simply just smiling at someone else, just sends a message to your brain that actually can't be that bad. They're smiling. Interacting with other people. I've used the term feeding off others' misery in the past. Find someone who's having a worse day than you and focus on them, but cheer them up. Go past, like, come on, you're doing great. Pass on your positive energy to them and you will get some back because you've helped someone else, but your brain has also kind of been reminded that your perception of your effort is actually, it's better than this. And then when someone steams past because they're having a great finish, ignore them. They don't exist. You can't. It's hard to completely ignore them, but just remind yourself, they're having a great. They've probably had a sleep for 4 hours. Doesn't matter. Or it's the start and it's the first 4 hours, and they'll be asleep in 4 hours. So just there's little tricks like that can help yourself escape. Podcasts, music. If you're using music, be aware of going too fast because you feel good, and not having the fueling or the leg strength to back that up. You see people who 16, 17 hours in, they've saved the music for the tough times. They put it in, they've got some drum and bass, and they go super fast for 3 laps, and then they keel over because they haven't got the fuel to back that up. So be aware if you're using music to and also if you're using a podcast particularly slow or sleepy, and it makes you just slow down and takes away from that mindfulness again, kind of bring it back into yourself and go, this podcast is great, but I want to keep moving at a good effort. I highly recommend the BBC Sounds You're Dead to Me. They've got a load of history podcasts with a historian, a comedian, and the host, and they go through some interesting stuff. It's my favourite one for in races, and have a good reason to be there. One of the reasons with the British team, the British and Northern Irish squad, we really do push our teamwork because in the lowest moment of 24-hour race, if you've got someone alongside you that you know you've got to work hard for, that provides a really good reason to keep going. If it's just about you, if it's just about a certain number or a qualifying mark, and that's slipping away, that can be really detrimental to your performance. But if it's about other people, you're trying to do something to if I keep going this low time, that my teammate might need me later on, or if you're on your own, have kind of goals that aren't about that end. Okay, what's my goal for this 24-hour race? I want to keep moving for as much of 24 hours as I can. I want to keep eating. Am I doing that well? I want to keep smiling. I want to smile at least once every 10 minutes. Have these little goals that you can achieve And that will be hard, easy to keep going when you're thinking about numbers. And actually, it's too hot to get that number you wanted that day. We got work off numbers. Look at London Marathon. It's 2018. It was roasting hot. Everyone was like, right, I'm going to fly around. I've got these times. I've practiced for them. And they didn't adjust for the heat. And the people that had the best days, finished in the best positions, had adjusted for the heat. But have a good reason to be there. And it can just be about trying to find your best. All of this stuff I do. I work with elite 24-hour runners. I work with people who are just doing their first 24-hour race. It's about finding your best day. It's not about like numbers and stuff. If you work on having your best day, you will get your best number, or you'll get somewhere near it. And that's I think it's the best way to do it. Because if you work on trying to get a number and trying to pace yourself to X, Y, or Z, and you don't like listen to yourself and listen to your body and listen to the environment around you and the conditions, it's going to be a lot tougher.